Welcome to Lethal Company. This is a pretty popular game, you've probably seen quite a bit, but something that's not really talked about is how furniture objects interact on the ship and how you interact with the ship, right? A lot of the time you're just going down and up and getting all the scrap and all these things, and that's good, but there's some quirks in the engine that are quite interesting. For example, you can see this bed is able to clip out, right? Pretty interesting. Not sure really what causes it, but because of that, it also by extension makes it to where you can clip out. We found. It's actually how we found some of the more interesting things. What I'm gonna do here is a half clip, and what that does is it allows access to the outside of the ship while also not like taking you out of the ship fully like this, right? This is something completely different. This is a full clip. You have very limited range of motion while outside here. Those planets are actually what you see on the monitor of the ship whenever you're around a moon. It is those planets on the view monitor. It just uses the camera at the back of the ship like you would like it would on any moon, like to see the dogs and stuff. But yeah, you can jump, you can do a bunch of different stuff here, but the limited range is a bit of a hassle. As you can see, it teleports you back into the ship. The reason why is because of these neat bounding boxes that exist. They exist outside the ship. You can see them here are all the purple boxes, but they have gaps, which show up right there. And basically, whenever you clip out of the ship, you're in that little gap. Best way to explain it is that you're in that gap, right? However, whenever you go all the way over here, that gap is different. It gets cut, right? You see how it's the corner edges you into that box, just the slightest amount, and it teleports you back into the ship. The box is also over here on the other side, but that also has its own little quirks. It's not quite as big as you think it is. And there's a bounding box across the top as well, so if you jump in the wrong places, you will also be teleported back to the ship, although that one's harder to see. There's a lot of things that exist around the ship. Here, I'm just going to teleport myself because it's a lot easier, but it's just to show you that there are other places you can go as well. So there's there, on top of the magnet, that's part of the more recent patches, but I'm not sure how far back this goes. Here on the railing, you can do this. You can jump down onto the actual place, but you can't go past the lip of the door. And if you go anywhere, if you move at all away from the edge, you will be teleported back into the ship. That's just how it is. So not exactly sure the limitations yet, because our clipping methods that we have are two ways. One, sideways, and then also there's up, made by my good friend ZC. He found a way to go upwards out of the ship, and that has its own uses as well. But we have no way to go down. That's a big thing. We have no way to go down, right? So we don't know if the bottom of the ship has any potential to be stood on or in, because of, you know, just not having any capability to do so. But I know for a fact the areas that we can access right now are quite limited. I also haven't extensively searched the outside of the ship for any more areas we could clip into, or be able to stand on without being teleported back into the ship. These were found through trial and error more than anything else, but they are quite useful for what's coming up next. Because if you can teleport outside of the ship, if you can clip out, right? The next obvious question is, can you take other things outside the ship as well, right? And technically, it is possible, but there's a bit of an issue. You can't do it alone. I'm going to be able to do it alone because of outside software. I'm using mods to help, but because you have to pick up a furniture object, and specifically the bed in this case, to clip you out, you cannot pick up another furniture object to take with you, right? It's a big issue, but if you were to have a furniture object on you, and then you were to be clipped out, say, by another player that's helping you and on the ship with you, because you can push other people with furniture objects even if it's not you placing them, well, you might find that those areas that you can stand on, they can be used to place other objects as well. I'm going to go on to Gordian now. But you can reasonably infer that all the objects can be clipped out, and that is theoretically possible. There are a couple of objects that don't like it, but across the board, things seem to be relatively able to be clipped out of the ship. On Gordian, aka the company building, and nowhere else, is this very unique box that sits at the front of the ship outside of the front door that allows you to just place things outside the ship. As so long as you are in this purple box, you are able to interact with furnished objects as if you were on the ship. The second you go outside of that box, you're no longer able to. And you have to go back into the ship before you can interact with it again. Because basically what it's doing is it's resetting the flag that says, oh, you're in the ship, right? Basically it thinks you're in the ship, but you're not in the ship. So you have to reset the flag each time, right? However, this is not the only area outside of the inside of the ship that allows you to interact with furniture objects. It's a little weird, it's a little wonky. I'll get to it here in just a second. I gotta put this back. With the shelf, because the shelf has access to most areas. This little slit on the side of the ship, that little uprise, for some reason, if you walk on it, and then you walk over to this little gray box, and then you come back, you can now mess with the furniture objects and interact with it like you're on a ship. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because the clipping of the hitboxes allows the game to think that you're on the ship. But yeah, it's a little odd. Don't exactly know the exact specifics behind it, but it's quite useful for finding all of these spots that have been found by, again, trial and error. The top of the gray box, the thruster that sits right there, the piping at the bottom of the ship as well, and then also the magnet, similar to how you can stand on the side of the magnet, that can also be placed. Then the other gray box over here, this one can also be placed on, but only by very specific objects. I've tried placing the bed over here, doesn't really like it. I tried placing the terminal over here, doesn't really like it. I've tried placing a lot of things over here, doesn't really like it. The shelf, this whole filing cabinet, definitely has the most freedom of motion at this current junction, because I don't know really what does it, but it definitely has the most options for places to go. So yeah, it's neat, and you think, oh, this isn't really useful, right? Oh yeah, also the top of the ship. The top of the ship lights up green. It technically constitutes as part of the ship's floor for some reason. Not only that, but also these edges are a little wonky. This edge works. You can jump up and down on top of it just fine. But the second you go over to the other edge, things break a little bit, and you're no longer able to interact, right? It resets the flag and says, oh, you're no longer inside the ship. So you have to go back inside and do all the jumps all over again just to get back up, jump on the gray box, jump back up on the top, just interact again, right? So you have to be a bit careful while doing this, or you have to do a hike. Now, I've put the furniture object inside the ship already, but you can also get other furniture objects like this, and they'll also work. They can also be clipped out. I haven't tested all of the furniture objects yet. I've not touched all of the furniture objects yet, because it's really hard to do, to go quota for quota for quota for quota, alone or even with other people and buy the furniture objects, right? It's not particularly easy to do. So I haven't gotten around to all of them, but I've tested a fair few. Ones that have caused issues. Obviously, inconsequential one would be the shower. The shower doesn't like being moved outside the ship for some reason. I'm not sure what it is, but it really doesn't like it. I've tried on both sides of the ship, and it doesn't work. And the other one, the one that really would be useful if you could get it outside the ship, would be the teleporter. The teleporter has a unique characteristic in its hitboxes that makes sure it has to be attached to the roof of the ship. And that doesn't seem like it's that big a deal until you realize that the outside of the ship doesn't have the same hitbox as the inside, for whatever reason, and as such, it doesn't like placing outside at all. It doesn't matter if it lights up green, and it's in the same spot that other things would place. It doesn't matter if it lights up red. It doesn't matter what it is. It will not go outside. We've attempted many ways, many different places, locations, everything you can imagine, both off moon and on moon, and it does not like it at all. So yeah, it's a little difficult sometimes to get this set up, but once you do, it's very useful. Things that are of use that we can get out is the signal translocator, since that makes noise. It attracts dogs to the inside of the ship, but if you equip it outside the ship, that's no longer an issue. It'll instead attract it somewhere else, right? If another one that's very useful would be like the TV. The TV makes noise. It'll also attract dogs to the side of the ship, not inside. And for example, the record player would be another one that makes noise. That's very useful. So yeah, it's something quite useful to have, something quite useful to use on each moon. And I encourage you to go and experiment yourself and find out what else can be used and done with this. For the rest, I'm just going to demonstrate, and I'm going to finish off and get everything that's in the ship out of the ship. So yeah, enjoy. Hello. This is a little passion project of mine. This is actually not my main channel. This is a little side channel that I have. The main channel is Captain Crew. We do a lot more content over there. I play with buddies. So you should definitely go check them out. If you want to see more of this, let me know. I will definitely post more if there is attention. And I hope this comes in good use. Have a nice day.